What's up, guys? This is Ty Zen, broadcasting from one of the most popular malls in the city of Boston, and this is called the Natick Mall. And in this video, guys, I want to share with you and everyone, my friends, about Factom and why I am considering investing into Factom. And well, matter of fact, I've already invested into Factom, and a lot of my friends were asking about it, and I just want to share this with you guys. All right. So Factom is a software that's written by a gentleman named Paul Snow, who was the original co-founder of the Texas Bitcoin Conference. He invited me to the Bitcoin conference, the Texas Bitcoin Conference in the city of Austin, which is located in the state of Texas, back in 2014 when Bitcoin was hot and when NXT just came out. So I went there and talked about some of the things that Bitcoin can do to get into the mainstream. And so that's who Paul Snow is, okay? So he's very well recognized in the Bitcoin community for starting the Texas Bitcoin Conference with some of the other people. So the reason why Factom was created was back in 2008 when the stock market crashed and the real estate market crashed due to all the fraudulent stuff that the Wall Street was doing. So what they were doing was first of all, they were selling homes to people who were not qualified and who did not make enough money and do not have a good enough credit score to buy the homes. And for example, if someone only had enough money to pay for $100,000 homes, the banks were committing fraud by giving a loan of $400, $500, $600, even $1 million loans to someone who could only afford a $100,000 home. So after the homeowners would buy the homes that were too expensive for them to afford, and they didn't put any money down to show that they had enough money to pay for the house, okay? Now, if you're listening to this outside of the US, most of people outside the US, like in Asia and Africa and stuff, most people normally pay up front. Like if they want to buy a $100,000 home, they would just outright pay the $100,000 on cash, and they would buy the home. The way that first world countries like America and like Canada, Australia, and Europe, the way they work is that they buy homes on credit, meaning that you put 1 or 2 or 5% down on the house. So if you buy a house that's $100,000, you would give the bank like 5% or 2% or 3% of that amount, and the bank would give you the rest of the money to buy the house. And the rest of the time, you would spend like 15 years or 30 years to pay off that loan to the bank, okay? So that's how Europe and the US works, okay? The reason why I'm telling you guys this is that by doing that, the people who were the homeowners own a lot of they still owe the banks a lot of money. And what the banks did was that they would take all this money, all these loans, and they would collateralize it and securitize it some way on Wall Street, and they would sell it so that people can buy and sell it just like if it was a stock, okay? So what happened was when the people couldn't pay for their homes because they never had money to pay for such an expensive home in the first place, they defaulted on the loans and the entire real estate market collapsed in 2008. So what happened was after 2008, after the crash, the banks were trying to foreclose on the homes, and it was very difficult for them to foreclose on these homes simply because they did not have proper titles and proper deeds to indicate who the owners of the homes actually were. And because the banks sold off the loans to other banks and the other banks sold it off to other banks, what happened was nobody really had a clear document or evidence of who actually owned the home and who actually owned the loan that was on the home. So what happened was there was a bunch of foreclosures done on people by banks that didn't even own the loans, and then people that were kicked out of their homes and repossessed by the banks that there was not clear who owned the title to the house or the home or the property or things like that. So the reason why Factom came along was because they wanted to resolve this nightmare and this issue with the banks not having, and not just the banks, but the homeowners not having clear. So we had, on one end, we had homeowners claiming that they had paid loans on their bank and been making payments on it, so there's no reason why they should lose their home. And on the other end, we had banks that claiming that they wanted to foreclose and repossess and take back the homes of the people, the houses back from the people living in it. So there was this huge debate in America on who actually owned the homes. So Factom is coming in, and what they're doing is they're taking the documents of these titles. They set up a system where they take the title, the deeds, and all the payments that were made on a specific home from a homeowner. And what they're going to do is they're going to compress, they're going to hash it. And what they're hashing means that they're going to encrypt the data, the documents. They can scan it in with scanners as a PDF or whatever, and take all the bank statements, all the contracts, everything that's related to the documents related to who owns that home, who paid for it, the monthly payments that are made on it, and they're going to compress it, and they're going to hash that data, and they're going to insert it into the blockchain. The reason why they want to create that hash is to make it a smaller file, and the reason why they're going to take that hash and they're going to insert it into the Bitcoin blockchain is because once it's in there and it's permanent in there, no one can come in and change it and redo the documents or commit any fraud with the documents, because everyone in the world, it becomes public and everyone can go in there and look at the hash and see the documents in there. Now here's the key, okay? Here's what makes it work. The hash has to be in a directory that the public can access. Once they access it there, it's public, and the hash is in the Bitcoin blockchain. And what they do there is that once they do that, the public, if anybody that wants to see who owns the house or the property or the building, they can go into the Bitcoin blockchain, look at the hash, and compare it to the public directory over here where the original documents and the titles and the deeds and the bank statements are held. That's public, and you can match it up, okay? So the PDF and the videos and everything and the photos of the house and the building, and they're too big of a file to put inside the Bitcoin blockchain. So that's the reason why they have to hash it. So the original owner of the house can keep these JPEGs, the PDFs, and these bank statements, and then they can always use it as document to prove that they own the property, so the banks can't come and take it. So that's what Factom does. It creates a directory where you can store those documents as a PDF, a JPEG, and all these things. And Factom will go in there and compress all those documents that you put in there and then insert it into the blockchain. Now they can insert that into the Bitcoin blockchain, or they can insert it into the Ethereum blockchain or any blockchain. The reason why they choose to put it inside the Bitcoin blockchain is obviously because that's the most popular. That's the most popular one that everyone uses. It's the most accepted one. It's the most trusted blockchain. And it's also the most secure blockchain because it's been out on the market the longest, and all the computer hackers are trying to hack it every day to steal the Bitcoins, and they have not succeeded. So if you're gonna secure these titles and these deeds and these property documents, the best thing to do is put it in a blockchain that has been consistently proven to be secure, okay? So that's what Factom is for. What's up, guys? And I know I just went from the mall behind me, the Natick Mall in Boston behind me, and now all of a sudden I'm sitting at the Szechuan, what is it, Jeff?
Szechuan Gourmet.
The Szechuan Gourmet restaurant.
In Natick, Mass. Or it might be Framingham.
Yeah.
At the borderline. What
happened was, when you guys saw me pause the video, the mall security came and kicked us out. Okay, they said we couldn't be talking about no Bitcoins and no Factoms inside the mall, right? So you want to put that on your shirt?
Yeah, I will.
Right. So, my buddy Jeff and I, we got kicked out, so we had to move, right? But at least they were courteous, and the mall security, the mall cop, was courteous enough not to delete our prior video. So here we are at a Chinese restaurant getting some dinner, and Jeff and I are gonna finish up on this video here. I've never been kicked out for making a Bitcoin video before.
And he was a little embarrassed too.
Yeah, he did. You should have seen the cop. He was like
mall
I have to
cop.
ask you guys. Yeah, the mall cop. he didn't even want to ask us because he stood there and he listened to what I was saying for about a good 5-10 minutes before, and we noticed something was wrong. So Jeff finally hit the pause button, gave me the timeout signal, so we paused the video. So
if he actually took the time to ask you,
yeah,
he'd probably be a wealthy man in 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If he asked us what we were talking about, he'd probably be a wealthy guy. Okay, so let's get back to the topic here, guys. So we were talking about Factom and how they are developing this directory where you can insert all the documents that verify, that document that you own the property or the bank owns the property, or whoever it is that's supposed to own the property, and they hash it and compress it and then insert it into the blockchain. Now, the thing that I like about this is that this is a serious problem. Not only in the first world countries such as the US that revealed itself after the crash of 2008, but if you go to countries like where I come from in Vietnam, when the communists took over most of the southern part of Vietnam where I come from, they took in, they confiscated all the properties, and what happened was, like, over 20 years later, they decided to return the property back to its original owners. So there was a lot of confusion in my small fishing village where I grew up, and they couldn't figure out who owned what part of the land. And on top of that, they could not really distinguish how far the land that my family owned extended. So we're not just talking about first world countries, but we're talking about third world countries where, like in Asia, in Africa, and South America, where they don't have a trusted methodology to record the land titles, the property titles, the deeds, and things like that. And I believe that this Factom, what Paul Snow and his team is doing, I think that they're going to build this up to be really, really awesome, so that they can go into it. You know, so that's something else that, you know, that I believe that has a very, very utilitarian and very useful technology that not just the US, but all the countries around the world, first world, third world, whatever, can use. Okay, so any questions or comments on that?
No, well, what do you think about riding over Ethereum?
Okay, so that's another thing too that I like about Factom. Okay, now, oh, I forgot to make this my disclaimer as always, guys. I was invited to speak at the Texas Bitcoin, at the first Texas Bitcoin conference in Austin, Texas, by Paul Snow. Outside of that, I have no relationship with him. I have no, he did not pay me to make this video. Nobody from Factom did. I am not related to anybody on there that I know of, okay? So I just want everybody to know that, okay? Because I don't want people to, I want you people to know that I'm just coming from an investor's perspective and a neutral perspective, okay? I'm just looking at it from an investment perspective only. So Jeff was just asking me about the my thoughts on the Factom service going on top of the Ethereum, and I think it's great. I think that they are, by doing that, they are hedging their risk in case the blockchain. So if they hash the same property title or deed, and they insert it into the Bitcoin blockchain, and they also insert it into the Ethereum blockchain, that kind of protects them for the long term. If one blockchain fails and the other one succeeds, then they already have the data in there, recorded in there. So I think that's a very smart idea to go ahead and do that. And I would not be surprised if they insert their property titles and property deeds into multiple blockchains. And it's just a small piece of data, and when they insert it, all they have to do is they just have to send like a small fraction of a Bitcoin or a small fraction of an Ether into that particular blockchain, and it gets recorded in there. So it's not like it costs a lot, it's practically free to insert it in there. So to me, it's a good idea. I hope they do it for all the blockchains that are popular, because nobody knows which one is actually going to succeed and survive 100 years from now.
That's true. We don't even know really what this is yet.
Yeah, so this is the reason why it's risky, right? But here's the thing. If you'll notice, recently, Factom had a big jump in December because they were able to raise some money, and they got the money that they had asked for. So that's why I had that big price jump in December. And then if you fast forward to just couple weeks ago,
speaking now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we got our egg rolls, guys, right? Vegetarian egg rolls, because Jeff only eats vegetarian stuff.
Yep.
It's hot though. No, it's good. So what happens is this. They are expecting in the month of April to get their next round of funding. So the Factom team has been running around China trying to, they recently went to the, I forget what city it was in, the Shanghai Bitcoin conference or something like that. It's Shenzhen or one of those cities, major cities over there. I just went blank all of a sudden. But they've been announcing Factom over there, and they've been educating the Chinese people on Factom. So we have a lot of Chinese people investing into Factom. And then they also announced, I think during that conference, they announced their partnership with some smart city, some company in China that's going to start using the Factom service to record all their properties and their land titles and their deeds and everything like that. So that's why in the last, I'm making this video on March 14th. Is that correct? March 14th, 2016. And just 2-3 weeks ago, they, just a couple of weeks ago, they announced, March 15th is today. Sorry about that, guys. They announced that they were getting the, they had this partnership with this Chinese smart city, and they're going to do this partnership where they're going to record the land titles and stuff like that for them. So that's why we had that big jump in the price of Factom. I still think it's kind of early, even though the price has gone up quite a bit. I would not get in right now at the top, but when there's a big pullback, I would say it's as long as that pullback happens before they announce their fundraising, the results of their fundraising in China. I think there's still time to get in. I have a few friends that are waiting for that, so they're going to get in when that pullback happens. Okay. The other thing too is that if you're wondering what the pullback price is, it's not really a specific price. You have to draw like a trend line at the bottom of all the lows on the charts, and then whenever it hits that trend line, that's when the ideal time to buy back in is. Okay, and so I have what else? Oh, so I think that's going to be a huge announcement, and I think that the market's just going sideways for Factom right now until that announcement happens in April. So hopefully it's some good news so that everyone that's involved with Factom will get a boost and make a little bit of money. So,
let's see where it is right now.
You got to use a mic. Yeah.
So $2.06 where it is right now. Mm-hmm. Is it a fair price?
Well,
if someone wanted to buy it today,
I don't have the charts in front of me, guys, so it's kind of difficult to look at that. The way, basically, there's an uptrend in the price, and every time it hits that trend line, that's when I would look to get back in. But if it pulls away from the trend line, that's a very risky place to buy in, because more than likely it's going to come back. And when it comes back, it's going to pull back against you. If you get in at the top and it pulls back and it comes down to the trend line before it bounces off, you're going to take a lot of heat. Okay, taking a lot of heat means that you are going to have to sit there and suffer emotionally while the price pulls back against you. Okay, so just be patient. Don't jump ahead, guys. You guys always hear me say, do not jump in after a big run up in price, because there's going to be a lot of people who made some money there. They're going to sell to exit their positions and take profits. And when everybody is selling to take profits, naturally the price is going to come back down. So wait until all those guys sell, take profits, and when the price comes back down, that's when you want to hop on board. Okay,
so good call. Tough to do.
Wow. So, and then, that's all I have for now, guys. I just want to share with you guys that real quick about what my thoughts are on Factom, and when I get a chance, I'll get our other team member, the Peter Thiel of cryptocurrency investing, or the Warren Buffett, as James D'Angelo calls it, right? Yeah. We'll bring LeonFood.com in, and he and I can sit down and we can go over it some more and share it with you guys.
Love to see it.
So thanks for watching this video, guys, and if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down so we'll know not to waste time making these videos. So I'm gonna get on with my dinner now, okay?